What's good, family? Listen, back at it again, another episode. Always want to say thank you for rocking with your boy. This is going to be a good episode today. We're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, probably near and dear to your heart as well. Fashion. Fashion in sports. How does it affect us as fans? Or wait, do we as fans affect sports when it comes to fashion? Let's talk about it today. As always, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you like. Make sure that you follow. More importantly, make sure that you share. They like sports. Send them my way. I will take good care of them. This is the Listen Man Show. I'm your boy Kev. Let's go. Okay, family, listen. This is going to be a unique episode, but I'm happy to be able to do it because it's something that's near and dear to me. And for a lot of you, I'm sure it's the same. So as always, this is the Listen Man Show, the show that's for fans by your boy, a fan, right? I'm Kevin, aka Kevy Kev, aka Big Kev, aka you can call me whatever you want to call me as long as it sounds cool and it starts with a K. So today's show is fashion. In particular, we're going to talk about fashion in the NBA. If you remember on my very first intro episode that I ever did, I told you the reason why I started this podcast was to talk about how life and sports were intertwined. And so I'm trying to get back into those topics, not just talking about what's happening in sports like most sports shows do. I really want to highlight how certain aspects of sports affect us. And we can even ask the question, how much of what we do as fans affect sports? So today I wanted to talk a little bit about fashion. Now, anybody that knows me knows I love clothes. Probably more than most dudes do, but I just absolutely love clothes. I can't help it. I've always been this way. I just love clothes. I love shopping. I love putting stuff together, making things coordinate. That's just my personality. So as I started noticing how the NBA began picking up steam when it came to fashion over the years, I thought it would be nice to just kind of highlight fashion in the NBA. There's even Instagram pages that call now walking through the NBA tunnel basically a runway. And so players tend to dress like it. But for me, I think about fashion this way. I always thought about it in the NBA from the standpoint of this. As fans, we love players, we love teams. But because the NBA is so visible, in other words, players don't wear helmets, they don't wear anything that covers them, we get to see the players' faces, we get to see their style of play. We kind of feel like we get to know them a little bit more than other sports. That's what makes basketball so popular, right? But I was always interested in the fashion aspect of it because fashion tends to mimic life. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it this way. Whether it's in sports or entertainment, some of the biggest entertainers in the history of entertainment, whether again it's sports, music, acting, whatever, have been influenced or try to represent where they come from. Here's a good example. Run DMC. Most of us know who that is. If not, Google it, look it up. One of the biggest hip hop groups ever. Really? So they pioneered the idea of wearing Adidas with no shoestrings. They were rocking Levi's jumpsuits, in other words, jeans with the jean jacket with it. They wore the hats, they wore the gazelle frames. It became iconic to this day. But when you listen to them talk, literally they were dressing like the guys in their neighborhood in Queens, New York. So when they began making music and doing videos, they said they just wanted to represent Queens. They wanted to represent the people that they grew up around and how they dressed in everyday life. So fashion really began to be something that was adopted by sports based on where people came from. That environment, the people in that environment affected how players dressed. For example, let's take a look at some. In the 1970s, now I wasn't around then as far as a teenager or anything like that to remember these things, but looking at the photos, look at Walt Frazier. The brother's clean, isn't he? We have a picture of him. We see him leaning on the car. Now, if you were in the 70s as a teenager or even a young adult, to look like Clyde Walt Frazier, all you would have to do is have you a nice suit, get you a nice hat, and a nice pair of shoes, and you could feel like you were in the NBA. You could look like Walt Frazier. Or you see these photos here of the New York Knicks. You see how they were dressed up? You could literally feel like you look like them. Or even this picture of Bill Russell. You notice the fashion? The style was clean, wasn't it? Seeing him lean up against that Rolls Royce, that could actually be in a magazine today. Timeless, because they're rocking suits, they look good. Some had their hats on, some had the vest. It was clean, it was a clean look. But it was a look that obviously people in their neighborhoods where they came from were dressing like that. Now we can fast forward to the 80s. Look at these images. Look at Magic. Look at that jacket. Yeah, it was clean. Same thing. Magic came from Detroit. So having a big fur jacket on in the cold weather, no doubt that style influenced him. And guess what? Being from Pittsburgh, I saw guys wearing the same kind of jackets in the 80s. Some were full length, some were three quarters, and some were like this one where it came to your waist. Now, Magic's may have cost a lot more than what guys in my neighborhood was wearing, but the fact of the matter is the fashion was the fashion. Because him being from Detroit, no doubt that had an impact on what he wore when he went out. They weren't dressing like that in LA, but he took that style from Detroit to LA. Even this next picture, look at Patrick Ewing. Again, wearing things that fans could relate to. So if a fan wanted to feel like they were in the NBA or that they were a millionaire like Magic or like Patrick Ewing, they could find something that would make them feel that way. Fashion made you feel like you could relate to the players. And in many ways, it brought you closer. Now we can fast forward to the 90s, right? Think of some of the players in the 90s. We see some of the images here. Same thing applied. Look at this picture of Charles Barkley. There he's got his Force tank top on with the shorts to match because he had the Nike Force tennis shoes. So again, if we wanted to look like Charles Barkley, I could go to Foot Action, I could go to Foot Locker, I could find that same tank top and shorts to match, and I could rock it, and I could feel like I was like Charles Barkley. But Charles Barkley's style actually came from things that we were wearing as well. Again, how fashion mirrored each other. So the 90s kind of mirrored the same thing as the 80s and the 70s. And then in the late 90s, going into the early 2000s is when, to me, fashion really exploded. Because this is when hip hop really took over. I mean, it took over the world. And so those fashions really, really infiltrated the NBA. When we look at these pictures, we have Larry Johnson. We see some of the other players, even Tim Duncan. Look at how Tim Duncan was dressing. The long shirts, the baggy jeans. And we know who the godfather of that was for the NBA was Allen Iverson. Right here. This look right here with AI is really what set it off. Now, Allen was somebody he was true to his neighborhood in Hampton, Virginia. And anybody that's been to Hampton knows that back then that's exactly how they dressed. I used to go to Hampton every single summer. One of my closest friends is from there, so we would go and spend weeks there sometimes. I love Hampton, Virginia, and that's exactly what you saw. You saw the big white tees, you saw the jean shorts, you saw the big chains, you saw do-rags or hats. That's how we dressed. That was a normal thing. The only thing that really was different was either you threw a jersey on, a jacket on, and what type of shoes you were wearing. If you were wearing the AI Reeboks or you were wearing the Grant Hill Felines, you were wearing Air Force One, Air Maxes, or even Jordans. That might be the difference. But for the most part, we wore the extra long jean shorts, white tees, etc. Even the suits began to change a little bit as we see Shaquille O'Neal in this one image. Now they called them zoot suits. But again, it was something that everybody was wearing. They patterned them off of what they were seeing in their old neighborhoods when they would come in. And then they would take it into the NBA. So fashion began to take a huge leap forward to the point to where the NBA actually created a dress code because of Allen Iverson with the cornrows, the tattoos, and the style of dress. But it had an influence. I can remember being a teen and seeing Chris Webber in an ad one time when he was coming out of Michigan. I think he had just got drafted. And he just had on some baggy jeans. He had on some Tims, and he had on like this blue T-shirt and a button down like this, but it was open and it matched. And I thought that was such a smooth look. And then that became my look for a while. I would buy nothing but these type of button downs, and I would have different shirts to go underneath of them, and would just leave them open and rock them with some baggy jeans and Tims, or I rock them with some baggy shorts and some Tims as well. So fashion kind of imitated itself. Then something happened with fashion, man. And family, I don't know what happened. I can't tell you when it happened. I can't tell you why it happened. Okay, e everybody wants to blame something on the pandemic, right? And we can't blame everything on the pandemic. This I blame on the pandemic. Trust me, I do. Man, I can't even begin to explain it. I really can't. I just have to show you guys. So take a look with me, and you guys tell me what you think happened as to where fashion changed from being relatable from the fan to the player and the player to the fan to now getting to where we are today. So just look at some of these with me, okay? Look at this. Come on, man. Like, listen, man. I mean, from a distance, I mean, it looks like the stuff is either painted on him. It's or somebody like dropped a whole jar of peanut butter. I don't get it. Look at this. I mean, is this fashion? I don't know. I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, these are millionaires. These guys are making anywhere from 7 to 40 million a year. This is how we dressing. Look, look. Come on, man. Listen, man. Listen. A repeat offender in James Harden. I mean, and look at this fashion. I mean, really? Come on, man. I mean, come on. Listen, I'm trying to stay positive. It's a positive podcast, but y'all gotta admit, man, this stuff is funny. Like this dude look like he just stepped off of Sesame Street. Like, and he's trying to hide his face because he know he shouldn't have been on Sesame Street. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I mean, Russ is one of my all-time favorite basketball players, but I don't get this look. Like, are you? I don't know. Are you Michael Jackson? Are you ready to tap in somewhere? You about to rob a bank with the hat? I don't get it, man. Again, a repeat offender. Look, I mean, James, what is going on, brother? Like, I just don't understand this, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, look, and we're calling this fashion. We're calling this fashion. I mean, why don't you just throw some shorts on? You got your whole leg and thigh. You got your whole leg and thigh showing. I mean, look at this. Man, I'm trying to tell y'all, my sister dressed like that. This is like something Anita Baker would wear. Like, I don't know if is this fashion? I'm sorry, man. I mean, look, and they know it's bad. That's why they covering their face. That's exactly why they're covering their face because they don't want people to know who they are because they stepped out of the house like this. I mean, come. Okay, his scarf is so long. He can literally wrap up about 7, 8 people and keep them warm. I mean, it's just absolutely mind blowing to me. It really is. It truly is. I'm sorry. Listen, I said it's a positive podcast, and I'm being positive. I promise I really am. But we're talking about fashion and how, as fans, like, do we really want to dress like that? I guess that's the question. Do we really want to dress like we highlighted how in the past we could go and dress like NBA players. But the question now today is, do we even want to? I don't get this. That's considered fashion. You guys are going to have to help me understand how fashion in the NBA has changed. Is that fashionable? And ladies, listen, be honest, man. Listen, man, tell the truth. Tell the truth. If you didn't know that one of those guys in any of those pictures was a famous NBA player that made millions of dollars, and you were out somewhere and somebody was wearing that and they rolled up on you and they was like, "Yo, what's up, mom? Let me talk to you for a second. Can I get that IG? Can I get that number?" What would you say to them? You know good as well you wouldn't give them the time of the day. You might think that some of them was homeless or something, if, depending on what city you in. Man, you would say just like Gina did to Romy Rome in one of the first episodes of Martin. That's what you would say. Exactly what she said to him.
If you don't like Mace, get out of my face.
Get out of my face. Yep. Exactly like she did. And you say with Rome could be walking in the NBA stadium with the shorts on and the high socks and dress shoes. They dressing today. I don't understand it. Now, some will say, Kevin, don't be a hater. I'm not. I just don't like it. It's like my man Plug One said, you know, I just don't get it. Common said it as well. Common said, if I don't like it, I don't like it. It don't mean I'm a hater. Like that's just the facts. Because at the end of the day, fashion is supposed to be something that draws players and fans closer together. This to me drives a wedge because it almost is like we make so much money that we're wearing stuff that you guys could never get. And that seems to be where fashion has headed. It has changed from the mindset of looking like where you came from to now being so exclusive that they have to rub it in our faces a little bit that we can't get what they have. That seems to be where fashion is going. So in some ways, I feel like people become successful and they forget where they came from. Because you can't tell me that if any of them went back to their old neighborhoods where they grew up at, that they weren't going to get laughed at, that they weren't going to get ridiculed to some degree and asked, are they okay? Now, granted, we're going to be fair. Yes, we had ours back in the days in the 90s or whatever. You had the Dennis Rodmans that dressed crazy. You had some of the people, even in entertainment, the Andre 3000s and everything. The difference was they were one of ones. Everybody just let them do their thing. Nobody else was trying to outdo them. Nobody else was trying to jump on board. Even in Outkast, like Big Boy still rocked his own style. He let Dre do Dre's thing, but he stayed in his own lane. But now it just seems like it's like players are trying to outdo each other as to who could dress the worst, and then they say it's fashion. And as a fan, it drives me a bit crazy. And I really hate seeing the players that are like 37, 38. You know, the Russell Westbrooks, the James Hardens, the LeBron James, the Dwayne Wades. Like it's like y'all know better, man. Y'all came in the league at a time to where fashion was really, really fashion. Y'all came in at a time to where it was throwback jerseys. It was everything had to match. Your Timbs matched your belt matched your shirt. Everything was pristine and clean. Now it literally looks like you just rolled out of the bed. And they think because they could slap a label on it or tell you that a jacket or that scarf that's 25 feet long is $17,000 that it's supposed to impress us, that it's fashion. I could tell you something. Story time.
Listen.
Growing up in Pittsburgh, we didn't have a lot of money. And my mom, her mom, my grandmother, my aunts, they all love thrift shopping. That just was their thing. They love thrift store shopping. And my mom knew that me and my brother would love to have some of the latest stuff that was out. You know, in the early 90s, everything was Polo, Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, it was Cross Colors, it was Carl Kanai, it was Pele Pele. It was all of those things, right? And so my mom realistically knew that she couldn't afford those things. So she tried her best to keep us dipped, keep us laced. She would go to the thrift store and she would buy this stuff and then she would lay it out in front of us so happy. Like she would be ecstatic. Like she rolled these pants out and they just would look terrible. If you've ever seen the video from Fresh Prince, Parents Just Don't Understand, that's what it felt like. If you don't know that, go look it up on YouTube. Go check it out. Parents Just Don't Understand Fresh Prince. And when you see what he's talking about and what he's wearing at the end, that's what it was like. But you know what my mom would say when we would turn up our nose to it? She would say, "What's the problem? That's Ralph Lauren. That's Polo. That's Tommy Hilfiger. That's Carl Canat." She would throw the brands out to us like the brands were going to make them look better or something. They just were terrible. And I think that that's kind of what we're seeing now is that the players just, because it's brand heavy, because it costs a certain amount of money, that it means that it's fashion. So I have a suggestion for all players who want to wear those things. This is the Listen Man solution to help with fashion. All right, the first thing is going to be to go back and look at fashion through the years. Look at how the players look. We went back to the 70s, Walt was clean. The 80s, Magic was clean. The 90s, man, everybody seemed to be clean. Everything matched. Early 2000s, okay, we had the hip hop look and sports going together. You can find pictures of Kobe Bryant and others doing the same thing. Man, it was a great time. Now, after the pandemic, look at the difference and tell me how you expect fans to relate to that. So, my second suggestion is to do these two things. Make sure you watch and make sure that you listen.
You take this outfit home and you burn it. We don't want to see this. I know you don't double back with outfits. I've never seen you in an outfit twice, but you take this right here. I don't care if it's Versace, name brand. It costs you. No, Saeed, I don't care. You take this and you burn it.
First of all, that's the top two worst jackets I've ever seen in my life. He needs to buy another one just like it and throw them both in the trash.
I hate to see number one.
So there you have it. You got an option. You can burn it or buy another one and throw them both away. That's the solution from the Listen Man show. So I am being positive. I'm just simply highlighting the change in fashion. But even though I'm being positive, I'm still a person. I'm still a fan. So as a fan, fashion plays a major role. And I think that there is a disconnect between players and fans to some degree when players begin to feel that they're a little better than the fans. And I think fashion even highlights that when they're so worried about exclusives instead of being more inclusive when it comes to fashion as players did back then. Just my thoughts, just my opinion. So I do have a remedy that I'll share with you for the last part of this show. Be on the lookout for a new side hustle, a new side business of mine. It's going to be Rent a Bro. Now, this is going to be a special thing exclusively for NBA players. Rent a Bro. I'm going back and forth with Rent a Bro, BRUH. We'll see. .com. And what's going to happen is exclusively you will be able to comb through profiles on this page. That's right. You'll be able to look at Ray Ray. You'll be able to look at Maine. You'll be able to look at LeJohn. You'll be able to look at all of these dudes that come from the same neighborhoods that you came from. And the whole idea is that you can rent them for either an NBA season or for a calendar year. Their sole purpose is to live in the house with you. They can do their thing, you can do your thing. But before you go out either to the game or whether you're going out to the club or somewhere else, they come in. When you come out, you just yell out, "Hey, man." Man, he'll come bopping out of the room. He might be eating some chips, might have an orange pop in his hand, and he's going to check out your outfit because he's going to give you the real. He's going to tell you what the fellas in the hood would tell you if you were back home. So he might look at you and be like, "Nah, man, go ahead and change that, bro." Now you know. You need to go change. And he might do that 2 or 3 times until you come back down with something that's a little bit more presentable. Something that represents yourself a little bit better, but also shows that you haven't forgotten where you came from. So be on the lookout for it. Rentabra.com. So we'll start having some rates. And if anybody wants to be a part of that program, you feel like you fit that criteria, reach out to your boy Kev and we'll set up an interview and we'll get your profile set up, okay? That's the fashion episode. Do you see how fashion has affected you? Does it affect you now? If you're a parent, when you see your children looking at some of these players, do you allow your kids to go out of the house like that? I'm just asking. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you think that fashion is better now than what it was before. If so, explain. I'd love to hear it. More importantly, it's all love. It's all fun. And listen, I love the NBA. I love the young players. But man, it just seems like everything is inclusive, everything is accepted. And that's not always a good thing. And in fashion, it definitely isn't. So thanks for taking some time for rocking with your boy. Again, we have some fun, but at the same token, it's serious, but it's fun too. And I hope that this will spark some conversation in your household as well about fashion. Maybe you could tell your kids or your nieces and nephews about how you used to dress. Hopefully, you're still dressing well. If not, then maybe this episode will maybe help you take a look and tighten up your dress game as well. But fashion is a very important thing. Let's keep it going. Thank you for rocking with me today. As always, I appreciate it. We're already on episode 21. We're going to keep pushing along slowly but surely. We got some big things in the works. And man, I just can't say thank you, thank you, thank you enough. It means more than you ever know. So please keep supporting, keep liking, keep sharing, share, please, and leave comments. Don't be afraid to leave comments. I hear from so many people that say that they enjoy the show, but I don't see the comments. So please leave me a comment. That lets me know whether or not the show is doing well, whether you like it, if there's things that you feel like should change or do differently, I'll do it. Let's have that conversation. So I'll look out for some comments moving forward. Please share it with whoever you talk to. This is the Listen Man Show. As I always say, stay positive, keep positive people around you, and no matter what is going on in life right now, I promise you it'll get better. It'll get better. I'll do my best to help it get better for you, even if it just means a couple of minutes of having some positivity, maybe a few laughs. This is your boy Kev. Hang in there. We'll talk soon. See you at the next episode. Have a great day. Let's go.